I got a friend of mine, the water department. They use the chemical to make it.
We are. I'm just waiting. Is everybody? We're waiting for Noreen to step up. Yes, we're good. We're good. Good evening and welcome. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Why is there a cart across? Okay, there's a cart. Okay. Okay.
Walk down the
All right. Well. Good evening, and yes, we don't normally have a cart in the middle of our corridor there. So, thank you. Welcome. Tonight is our regular Board of Ed meeting. It is also our preliminary budget hearing. Our preliminary budget hearing is the last time we can make any changes to the budget before we vote on it, which is on May 17th. And I will repeat that date many times so you all remember that on May 17th we have to vote on our budget. So first, we have a little bit of business. Emergency. In the event of emergency, I have to say this. I get yelled at when I don't. In the event of emergency, please exit the way you came in, take a left and go out the main doors, or if the exits are blocked, you can jump out the window. So, there. Thank you. All right, moving on. I need a motion to approve the minutes as listed in the agenda.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the financial reports as listed in the agenda.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to acknowledge receipt of the financial reports as listed in the agenda.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Dr. Johnson, we have several gifts.
We have two gifts that I would like to recommend that we accept this evening. One is from the Wilson PTA, 3D printer and filament. And the other is from a recently deceased member of our staff at in the central office, Cindy Fletcher. Her family has asked that we accept a gift of $1,000 to be used as a scholarship to a graduating senior. So
That's lovely.
it is.
That's really lovely. So, thank you. I need a motion to accept the gifts.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any questions?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any correspondence that can be posted is posted outside in the hallway. And, okay, we have item for discussion, proposed 2016-17 budget. So we'll review the budget and then adopt the budget. So, Dr. Johnson, do you want to?
Yeah, I just want to make I don't usually have a lot to say about the budget, and as a matter of fact, I won't tonight either. I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Bartels, but just at the outset, what I wanted to do is to thank all the members of our staff who participated in the budgeting process. This began a long time ago in October. It's about to end this evening with the adoption of a budget. Many teachers, many staff members, our administrators, and the person who does the most work is Mr. Bartels, the person here to my left, does a superb job in putting it together, and I'm working with all of our staff and in fact helping us bring it to closure. I also want to thank the board. I believe that the budget that we have this year is a reasonable one. As most of you know, we are living in the world of a tax cap. So there's a very, very small difference between last year's budget and this year's budget. But nevertheless, I believe that based upon what it is that we have done over the past few months, we've been able to come up with a spending plan for next year that will allow us to continue to offer to our children and to this community the very wonderful programs that they've been accustomed to having. And all of the support, all of the education, all of what we have come to expect of the excellence in this community will be continued into the next fiscal year, thanks to what I believe will be the action of the board shortly. What makes it somewhat different this year is that again, in the world of a tax cap, is the fact that we have a very, very, very tight budget. And because of that, as the year progresses, and there may be various issues that will come up from time to time, particularly with regard to adding of staffing, and I know this came up at the last Board of Education meeting. The way in which we are going to have to deal with this and the process that we will put into place is that we're probably going to have to come back to the Board of Education at the time that request for these possible staffing changes would take place, and in fact look for other sections of the budget in which we'd have to reduce expenditures. So it's tight. It really is tight. I think it's a very good expenditure plan. I think it's one that will in fact achieve our goals for the year, and yet at the same time we have to recognize that it gives us very limited options in terms of what's open and available for us. So on that note, I want to thank the board in advance, and then turn this over to Mr. Bartels and thank him in advance for the work that he's done this year. So Robert?
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Just to summarize the budget, we have a budget increase of about 2.25%, and that increase includes all of the programs that we currently have within the district, moves everything forward, so there's no program cuts considered at all within this budget. So this is, we're very happy to keep everything in place and continue to move forward. That 2.25% increase stays within the tax cap. Our tax cap number for this year was 0.85%, and we're going to be at 0.84%, so we're going to be just under that tax cap number. What that means for the average home in Rockville Center, some of these numbers may surprise you, but according to the assessor, the average home value continues to decline in Rockville Center. For the current year, it was $476,000, and they're projecting it to go down to $460,000 as an average home value, which is a decline of about 3.4%. These numbers have been declining for the last several years, so what's important about that is if any individual's home does not decline in their assessed value or their market value and stays the same, they're going to see a little higher than average tax increase. So the average home, again, is going to decline by 3.4%. So if your home declines by that, if you're the average home, you'll see a similar type of an increase. And the increase on taxes on that average home was just under $100. We're estimating it to be $97 for the average home. And that would be an increase of 0.87%. So that's what the projections are for the average home in Rockville Center.
I'm sorry. That is the projection purely based on the assessment of the values that are being reassessed.
Correct.
Had nothing to do with the budget going on. Well,
No.
No, well, it's a combination of a number of factors. The increase as of right now, and again, I should preface it by saying it's a very tentative number at this point. All the information we have from the assessor's office is very preliminary. We don't get final numbers until well into September. This past year, we actually didn't get them until November. So we used to worry about getting them in time for the budget vote, but each year it seems to get worse and worse and worse. But right now they're running somewhere around September by the time they finalize all the assessment values. But what happens is, as various people challenge their assessments go down. Other people's assessments that don't challenge their assessments stay the same, so their increase in taxes are a little bit higher than the average. And that, unfortunately, is a factor of the assessment system. The other problem we have with doing this determination is the county assessment system could change at any time. So we have seen swings where some individuals' homes have seen increases in assessment or big decreases in assessment, which again will change what the impact is on that particular home. But that's why we can only really do the average in Rockville Center at this point, and based on our budget, the average increase is just under $100.
Could I just add something there? they come out with these proportionalities and the adjusted base proportion, which is what I think Robert is talking about, which assigns various values to the 4 classes. What's that?
I was trying
Trying not to talk about the
Yeah.
adjusted base proportion.
Well, the homeowners in this community, as time goes on, more and more money is being pushed into Class 1. So that there are a number of factors, one of which is the value of your home, but the other is the proportionality that exists between the 4 classes. So that as Class 2, which is multiple unit dwellings, Class 3, which is utilities, and Class 4, which is commercial, as the challenges have been effective or more effective in these areas, what has happened is a greater proportion of the overall tax burden has been shifted to Class 1, which is one of the reasons why the estimate that Robert puts out of $97 may not be exactly accurate, simply because the amount that we are going to absorb as homeowners in this community exceed what, and it has to do with the county. The other thing is that those people, and it's become such a routine operation that the people who challenge the value of their homes don't think for 1 second that you're going to be able to go out tomorrow and buy a house in Rockville Center for $460,000, and that homes are dropping in fact, in reality. What that means is that the values that are assessed values, the market values, are declining because the county has made a decision that on the basis of its large number of challenges to reduce by 10% the overall assessed value of homes in Rockville Center. And those who have been challenge get their house reduced by about 10%. Those who do not keep it at the same level. And they are going to, again, be, as he suggested, disproportionately affected by whatever transpires. None of which has to do with the Board of Education, all of which has to do with the County Assessor's Office, and it's one that we have been troubled by in the last number of years because of the lack of stability that exists and the lack of predictability from one year to the next, and the inability on the part of him to be able to go forward and to say, and he says it very nicely, I'm just not sure, and you can't be sure because of the way in which the numbers are falling out. So maybe it need not have been said as complicated as it is, but it is a very complicated issue and a very complicated problem.
It is, and every year, not now, but usually later when people get their tax bills, they say, but you said it was going to be approximately this, and our tax bill came in. And we've done various presentations to show sort of what happens when one value goes down, the other one goes up. It is frustrating.
Even if it doesn't go up, it just stays the same.
Right.
If the other one goes down,
Right.
they're going to be hit much more out of proportion to what they would have been otherwise. So, okay, I'm sorry, Robert, go ahead.
Right.
I'll jump in when.
That's right. I just had one other piece anyway. That's if we are within the tax cap, as I mentioned. If the budget does fail, if we fail to get a majority of the vote, and we may have to go on a contingency budget. A contingency budget for Rockville Center for next year means you cannot increase the tax levy at all. So what that would mean is we'd have to find $770,000 in the budget for additional cuts. So that's the difference between the budget we're presenting and what a contingency budget would be.
And there are other issues with the contingency budget
Yes.
Besides the fact that we would have to cut $700,000.
Besides the monetary value, there are certain things we cannot do. For example, we can't open the school district for our community groups without charging them a fee to participate to cover any costs that would be involved in opening our buildings.
So we're looking to avoid that?
Yes.
At all costs?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the budget?
I'm good.
You good? Everybody? Okay. All right, so before we adopt it, I'd like to open the microphone. If anybody has any questions on the budget, you can come to the microphone, state your name and address before we adopt it. This is our last chance to change it. Okay. Got to move faster.
I just wanted to, I
Sorry.
wasn't clear, the contingency budget for staffing is not being added? Is that the $250,000 is not being put back in? Is that?
What I said, and I'll say it again.
Okay.
Is that in the event that we have to go back to the Board of Education, in the event that we need additional staff, we're going to have to find reductions elsewhere in the budget
Okay.
in order to fund those additional staff members.
Okay, and when I was just looking through it this evening, just clarification of, I saw, when I was combing through the numbers, there's a line for an administrator of $1,025,000. Can you tell me what?
Probably not one
No,
administrator. it's probably a
that
group.
can't be
Okay, well,
one.
because there's several, you
Yeah.
know, listed
Yes.
there.
No, there's no probably.
I would hope it's probably more than one.
But I
Well,
just,
keep in mind who put the budget together, right?
I know,
So that,
so-
there he is, right.
you're very
Okay.
smiley up there tonight.
Robert, is that your
No,
salary?
what, can you give me the budget
I was just
number,
gonna
the
say-
line?
Yes, it's 2020.155079000.
That's the, those,
Those are all high
High
school
school.
administrators.
And just for those, there's one principal and 4 assistant principals?
And
And
supervisor of guidance,
Right.
director.
four
Right.
assistants and
Guidance.
director of guidance.
And supervisors.
director of athletics in there too?
No. So.
Okay, because it just says administrator?
Yes.
There's no,
So
okay.
just so everybody, yeah, it's
Okay.
not 1, it's not 2, it's.
So there's no S in the,
Probably
there's no
five,
S on that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So Robert will
So-
change that.
It's just a question,
Yes.
jumped out at me.
It's a fair
Okay.
question. It's a
Good
very
one.
fair
All right,
question.
thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so, I have a little script here. May I have a motion to accept the proposed budget for the 2016-17 school year to be presented to the voters of the Rockville Center Union Free School District on May 17th, 2016, in the amount of $109,482,695.
You may, and so moved.
No, I think I need a second.
Oh, second.
No. May I have a second?
You asked for a motion.
Okay. This is a roll call, so, John? How do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Mark?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Maida?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. So, thank you very much. Dr. Johnson, thank you. Well, I'll thank you more later. I will say, though, we did, the budget is always a big task and a big undertaking, and we'd like to thank all of our administration. It is an enormous task that begins in September or October, reaching out to the principals and our administrators. We tried to present it a little differently this year. Maybe it was good, maybe it was bad, maybe it was rocky, there were some bumps. Whenever we change anything, there's going to be some problems. If anybody has been here or has any thoughts, we'd love to hear them as we think about how we do things next year. But it was interesting, and I don't know if it was more educational or not, so I think that more to come on whether or not how we do this next year. But thank you. It is always a process. The process isn't complete yet, because on May 17th, there's a vote here from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. The vote is here in the high school. If you come to our next meeting, here's our little plug for our next meeting, we have new scanners for anybody who voted today. The scanning machines are the same machines we will be using to do our budget vote. And Ms. Wong will give a presentation of how the gym will be set up for voting at our next meeting. So there's my plug for you. Okay. We now have to adopt the property tax report card. And do we just, so I need a motion to adopt the property tax report card.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Fabulous, thank you. We have a budget. Everybody should have gotten in the mail by now at your schools, which had all our budget information on top of the budget information that's on our website. Again, if anybody has any questions, we have at our next meeting, which is May 4th, We have a budget hearing. It is a mandated budget hearing. We can't make any changes, but we can absolutely answer questions. So we will be here again to talk about the budget on May 4th. If you go home tonight and think of any questions, you can always email us at thank you, BOE@rvcschools.org. And we will be at all the PTA meetings, so you can also go to your local PTA meeting and ask us questions there.
There's 4 tomorrow.
Starting tomorrow.
Starting tomorrow. So, yes, an exciting time. Moving on. An exciting time in state testing. Dr. Johnson, we have an update. We've had some testing going on.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it very brief. I don't think we have to spend a lot of time talking about it. You know, in consultation with our staff members and with our administrators in the buildings, a couple of things were brought to our attention this year. One, the test was supposed to be untimed, and for the most part, the English language arts was untimed, not the math. The math was timed. But nevertheless, the longest anybody had to stay in school or in class in order to do it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We had a small number of students in each of the buildings who were staying. We didn't see a whole lot of students taking advantage of that opportunity and spending a much longer period of time. And the other was that there were supposed to be changes in the questions so that they were going to be more student and friendly. I think in 3rd grade, we got higher marks than we did in the other grades. All of the other grades, it looked very much like it did in the past. And consequently, nobody saw a whole lot of difference in the test itself. That being said, we had about 62% of our students decide with their families not to take the test. So we have about 30-some odd percent of our students who decided to take the exam. It ran very well within the buildings. Everyone was accommodated. And at the end of the day, I'm not quite sure what the results will show. We don't know what the state is in fact going to be doing with it, except that they continue to debate this at the state level. And we know that it cannot be used to promote a student. We know that it can be used to place a student. We know that it cannot be used to evaluate a teacher. And so while the exercise was one that we respected, at the end of the day, the data, when it arrives on our doorstep, really can't be used for anything. So we have, in the school district, moved away from the state exam and are moving in the direction which I believe that the state is going to be moving, which is towards an adaptive test. And consequently, we have been using the NWEA. Those who follow board meetings know that Mr. Pelletieri, at the meeting in September or October, will in fact, as he has done in prior years, provide us with a summary of all of the test data, but instead of using the test data, we use the NWEA. So we're still very confident that we are able to gather information that strongly measures the performance of our kids, that does it in a way in which we are able to compare ourselves to a national norm, and that we can report to the Board of Education and to the community on the efficacy of our programs. So that's a very, very important component to this, which is that we as a school district will continue to look outside the school district for measurements and that enable us to assure this community and assure its parents that the job that we promised is being done is in fact being done. So that will continue, even though the state tests and the state exams, quite frankly, do not do that job right now. And the state recognizes that. They're looking to replace it. They're hoping to have it replaced within the next year or two. But in that interim period, we are going to be continuing to use the NWEA. That's it. Oh, I don't know if you have any questions.
Are there any repercussions for our opt-out rate being over 60%?
Any repercussions?
Yeah, from the state. You know, the state threatened to withhold aid and things like that.
No. They, as a matter of fact, recently a letter was sent out from John King King's office, not from him personally, but somebody in his office had sent out a letter essentially reminding school districts that they could lose aid in the event that there were not enough kids showing up and they didn't meet that threshold of 95%. That was very, very quickly repudiated by members of the Education Committee in the Congress, who essentially reminded him that we have a new law in place and that it is now up to the states to make that determination. It is no longer up to his office. So the debate goes on,
Okay.
but we've essentially been assured that on the basis of the numbers alone, we are not threatened in any way whatsoever of losing our state aid or losing any of our federal aid.
I was going to say, his authority stretches on a federal level, not a state level.
Right.
And we plan on using this information exactly the way we've used the prior years, and basically putting it on a shelf and
I wish I could
Not
say we
using it?
can depend on it for something. It's been a real disappointment. Look, we've always, as a school district, since I have been here and started in this job in 1986, always looked to outside testing or, for the most part, to the state for external validation of what it is that we do internally within the district. It's been an incredible disappointment to me and to many others that the state has not been able to come up with a measure that allows us to do that effectively. So they recognize it. I mean, they know it. They just can't get a test together fast enough to get themselves back up to speed. They're in the process of doing that. It was the topic of discussion at yesterday's Regents meeting. They're going to move as quickly as I'm sure they possibly can to get there, but they're not there yet.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to Watson Field. I don't know if Robert...
Yeah, you know what, I'll turn that over to Mr. Bartels. He's been the one that's been most close to, although I've been working with him and with the principal on this, I think Mr. Bartels has the most detailed information.
Okay, as you know, we mentioned the last board meeting, we had some,
Your mic's on.
yeah, I think so. Yes?
I think it's on.
He's soft-spoken.
There were concerns raised about the condition of the Watson Field. We were looking at a plan on what we're going to do to to go after those conditions and make sure we get the field back into the condition we'd like it to be in. We've been working with the contractor. They're going to be coming in later this week, I believe on Thursday, to rototill the field. That will bring up any large rocks to the surface. We will then, clear those rocks. The field will then be regraded. We're going to bring in additional topsoil and seed, and then close off that section of the field to allow that field to grow and to establish. That's something that's going to be done at the complete cost of the contract that they've agreed to cover all costs associated, so it won't cost us anything to do that. And then we plan to have that field closed for the rest of the spring to take advantage of the growing season now, over the summer, and again through fall, so that we can get 2 full growing seasons, and hopefully the field will establish to the point where it's no longer a concern to us.
Okay. It's about a third of the Watson Field.
It's approximately 1/3 of the field.
Mrs. Waldman, okay?
Yes, the principal is okay with that. She can use the remaining part of the field, as she has done in the past when a portion of the field was closed. Also, our athletic teams are making other adjustments as to where they're going to be doing the practicing. So I believe one team is going to continue to practice on that smaller section of the field, so they're only going to have to move one team to a different location.
Are we renovating the areas along the walkway and on the other side of the trees going up at the same time?
Yes, we're also going to do one strip where there was an asphalt walkway going from Lakeview to the playground, which is really parallel with the new concrete walkway. That concrete walkway will continue to be available, as will the other walkway along the apartments from the other side of the field. So those will be available for parents to utilize, but we will be gating off or fencing off those other two sections. So the one kind of where the path is out to Lakeview, and then the other kind of third of the field.
Not the area adjacent to the new concrete walk? That has a lot of debris in it, a little debris in it, nothing big, but
Yes,
are we
that's all going to be rototilled. It's
So
going to go
from
through
the
the same
sidewalk
process.
out to be, where the temporary walk was put in, we're basically renovating the
Correct.
area?
Yes.
So around the trees?
Around
Both sides of the
trees.
trees?
Both sides of the trees.
Okay. And it's scheduled for Thursday.
Rototilling is scheduled for Thursday, and they will continue until
They'll continue
the whole
over the
process is
break.
done. Right.
So it should be done by the time school reopens?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, go.
It's not going to be one guy out there with a
No.
rototiller, right? That you can rent from Home Depot, right?
No.
Okay.
How are we going to keep people off of it? Because one of the problems is people running on newly...
Well, we're going to fence off the section of the field. We're also going to put snow fencing inside. So in case people do, find it attractive and want to get in there, we'll have snow fencing to prevent them from doing any real playing.
Are we putting up the big construction fence around the outside, or are we snow fencing the whole thing?
No, we're going to put up a large fence around the outside.
The temporary fencing they use during construction?
Yes.
And that's
And when they take the temporary fencing down, will it all come away?
Well, it should be established at that point. That's why we want to have it for two
Right.
full growing seasons.
Okay.
The last time we only allowed it for one growing season, which is one of the concerns we had, that we didn't give it enough time to completely establish, and that's one of the reasons it hasn't held so well.
Okay.
We'll be a little more diligent, or our construction manager will be a little more diligent on making sure they're out there.
Yes, they will be there through the entire time. They're going to have somebody from the construction management company will be there while that's happening.
Will-
Myself, Mr. Scalisi, and Mr. Benincasa will also, be going by there at various times.
That was my next question.
Okay. Okay, you good? All right, thank you. Don't go away, because you have to tell us about our school improvement bonds and capital
Projects.
Can we get a question?
There will be an opportunity for visitors.
Not till the end? We can't talk about the
We can't
field
talk
yet?
about the Watson Field now?
No, there'll be an opportunity for visitors. There's not a lot left.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, there's not much left. This is the last thing.
The air conditioning in the classrooms has now all been completed at all of the buildings, with the exception of here at the high school, where they're going to continue to finish these as they redo the various rooms throughout the summer. But all the elementary buildings and the middle school have the air conditioning in the classrooms has all been in place and working. The only thing remaining is that a couple of buildings, there's still some control wiring that needs to tie it back to the computer, but the teachers right now have the ability to turn those air conditioners on and off. So that is complete. Obviously, we're continuing here with the south wing of the high school, continuing to make a great deal of progress. We're actually up to starting to paint some of the rooms on the interior. So just making some nice progress there. We have the other two items is some additional work. The district-wide work has begun at the middle school and at Riverside, actually just today. They're beginning work on the fire escapes and the repointing work of masonry at both the middle school and Riverside.
And that's the big shrouds that
That's
are
the
going
big
in?
shrouds
Right,
that you may
everybody
see.
sees them.
We've had some issues with some of the repointing work, with the blowing of some of the dust, and we're trying to keep on top of them. It's been an issue at the middle school. That's why we want to make sure everything's shrouded. They're supposed to be using these large vacuums, but they haven't always collected everything. So we're trying to work carefully so when we have our kids around on the field, we try to limit exactly what's going on.
the repointing at the middle school has nothing to do with the roof problems, and that's something completely different.
Well, it had to do with leaks, but not
Not
with
the-
the roof leaks, correct.
So how far are we along? Oh, that's not a capital improvement, that's something else. With the repointing on the roof leak issues.
The repointing on the roof is, for the roof work that was done, is complete. I think they still have some punch lists. I don't think they got to the gutters yet, but all of the capstone work, the roof replacements and so forth, that's been done. There is additional roof work that this new contractor has on the pitched roof. So they'll be replacing shingles, flashing to block any other openings that are in the roof. When you go up into the attic of the middle school, you can kind of see some sunlight areas. They're going to block everything off.
This is the contractor on site now?
The contractor that's on site now, right.
They're doing it over break? Or they're
No,
just continuing?
it's just going to be a continuing process. There'll be lots of work going on at the middle school for the rest of the spring and throughout the summer. But the roof work is just one piece of that to continue to try to fix the envelope of that building.
Okay.
And he's been working weekends and nights, I see up there.
Yes, and they'll be out there all week next week.
Any projects in this building next week?
Yes, we're going to be doing some renovations of the math office. That will take place. And I think that's pretty much the only one for next week. As far as an interior project, obviously we can continue on the south wing, all that work.
I had somebody ask me a question regarding the temporary classrooms, the ones that don't have windows. At the end of, let me reword that. Starting in September, those will not be temporary classrooms anymore, correct?
Here in the high school?
Yes.
Yes, correct.
Those are the interior rooms?
Those are the interior
The ones
rooms.
without windows.
They will
Okay.
all be office spaces or faculty room, so forth. All classrooms, all student rooms will have
Windows, okay.
By law, they have to. don't they?
Unless they're temporary.
Unless they're
Depending on
temporary,
the use of the room.
or if a student is in there just for a period or something,
Right.
right? That's, okay.
Rob, we started generator work. Have we resolved our issue with that, gone forward with it, or?
We are finalizing an update with that to basically put the entire administration building on. We're looking at a natural gas upgrade, which should not be a big cost to upgrade the gas, but we're working on a quote right now to redo the entire administration building. As you know, when we had the generator project in place for the high school and administration, it really was a skeleton generator that it worked. It works all of our communications equipment here in the high school, our refrigeration systems, but in the administration building where we really need as a control center, it only operated a limited number of functions. So for example, we weren't able to use the computers, our phone systems. So
You didn't have lights,
we
if
didn't
I
have
remember
lights.
correctly.
Correct.
I thought you had computers, but no lights.
No, we did not have computers. No computers. There was
Yeah.
some of our
was-
computer equipment, which is in the administration building, but not the individual workstation computers. We actually, when we had to send out a message when we lost the power last year,
You went to
we
your-
actually had to come over here to our control center in the basement to send out the message.
Now, the solar panels
Yes.
here and at Covert are operational?
They are operational. What is not operational right now is the website that allows us to monitor how much we're actually gaining in savings, and they're working on that right now. We'll hope to have that resolved within the next week or so.
Will that information be available to the students for any science projects?
Yes, going forward it will.
I believe that was the intent of that, to be
Yes.
more educational than monumentally cost saving to us.
Yes.
It
Yes.
was more just to understand. that-
Yeah, because at one point we talked about putting a kiosk in the
Lobby.
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 Thank you.
Yes.
foyer.
It had been working. We had been getting data on our website, and it had not been utilized for a while. A question was asked recently
Right.
about, if they were working, checked into it. They've always been working at Covert. The high school, there was a little problem with all the electrical upgrades that were done here. They were inadvertently disconnected, so they've been reconnected here. So they are working at both buildings. It's just the gaining access through the website is still down.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Opportunity for superintendent.
I just wanted to jump in at the end again and remind people again, as you did earlier, that on May 17th, we're going to have a budget vote, and that this is the beginning of a second process, which is to hopefully engage the community in various conversations about the budget, and hopefully interest them in coming out and voting on Budget Day, which is May 17th. Just for your information, and I suspect you are going to be bringing it up at another time, we will be visiting, as a matter of fact, tomorrow night, 4 schools, Watson, Wilson, Hewitt, and Riverside, to engage whoever is in attendance in a conversation about the budget. Middle school, high school, and Covert are later in May. But again, we would hope that people would take an opportunity to join the PTA and, in fact, come out if they have questions about the budget and, in fact, discuss them with us. There will be an administrator and a board member at each of those meetings for us to be able to participate in that discussion. But again, going back, we really encourage people to mark on their calendar May 17th. Number 2, the play here at Southside High School just blew me away this past weekend. It was just extraordinary. Probably one of the more extraordinary aspects of it was to take a look at the curtain call at the end and see well over 30 kids standing on the stage. And so many of the boys dancing. I know what they're going to tell their grandchildren. I danced in Guys and Dolls, but they did an actually incredible job. The casting was terrific. The music was wonderful. The direction was superb, and it was just an incredibly enjoyable evening. So my thanks to the staff and to the students and the patience that all the families had in allowing their children to participate. Not so easy. It takes a lot of time for these kids. You drive here some nights at 10:30 at night, and they were still here working. So at any rate, it all paid off. It was just a wonderful, wonderful and very entertaining evening. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you, and I think we will all agree with that.
Okay.
So on May 17th, not only is there a budget vote, but we elect board members. John O'Shea's seat was up for re-election, and no one else is running against him. So congratulations, Mr. O'Shea. You get another 3 years with us. So congratulations, John. The library board also has 2 people up, and I believe they are running unopposed also. Is that correct, Jackie?
That's correct.
So we've got, so there's no,
No fanfare.
it's a pretty quiet year, which doesn't mean you don't have to come and vote on May 17th. And I'm not going to say it again, but there. And I am going to go first. I don't normally, but about 10 years ago, Darren Raymar, the principal of Covert, saw a documentary called Mad Hot Ballroom and decided that he needed to bring dancing to his students at Covert. And he convinced them, and I think it took quite a bit, to come out to Long Island and teach his students at Covert. And they honored him last week with an award called Take the Lead Award. Dancing Classrooms Long Island is now all over Long Island in many schools. And I know Wilson has also done it, so he was early. He was early on, and it was really a very special evening. He was honored. Some of our students from Covert danced along with some of students from other schools. So it was really great, and I think we would all congratulate him. And you said Guys and Dolls, so I'm not going to say that. And I did my budget thing. So moving on, Maida.
You basically said everything I wanted to say, but The dancing classrooms, I just will add that I've heard from many parents whose children have participated in that program, how special it is and how much it means to them and how much they gain from it. And it's really cute to see these kids dancing together. They take it very seriously, and in their escort position, I was there, it was great. So congratulations to Darren for bringing that to our district. And the rest was said, Guys and Dolls was fabulous. Vote May 17th.
I'm going to keep saying that. Greg?
Well, Robert, to you and your staff, thank you for all the work that you put into the budget. I know it's not an easy task, especially when you're walking around the district with multiple hats. I understand our facilities director was out, and you were covering that position also. So my hat's off to you for multitasking and the many tasks that you have to do. And knowing that when I call your office and you're not there, I always get the sense that you're running around somewhere in one of the buildings checking something out, and I just want to say thank you. I would remind everybody, May 17th, as it's been said already. It's important to understand that, you know, it doesn't have the fanfare or of people running, and you won't see signs around the community, you know, vote for me. So it's still important for everybody to get out and cast their ballot. And I'll leave it there. Guys and Dolls, amazing. You said it perfect. I've been on stage crew when I went to school here. I was involved with 3 plays. It's an amazing amount of work that goes into it, and it's just amazes me every year that what they put together. Darren has been the principal of all 4 of my kids, and the award he received, the Take the Lead award, I had the pleasure of having all 4 of my kids go through the program of dancing classrooms, and it is very special. And he saw something. He took the lead in it, and I used the word lead, and went with it. And he did get some opposition from some people in trying to bring it to Long Island, and it works. And I've seen these kids year after year after year. It's amazing just to see them dancing and walking hand in hand with I'll leave it there. There's a lot of emotion. I had 4 kids go through it. Also, I want to congratulate the Ed Foundation. They had their gala. Did another amazing job, another amazing year. It's important for the community to support them because our teachers write grants that the Ed Foundation funds with that money, which goes directly to enhancing our program here. So if you're in the future, you see them running a gala, please support them. With that, that's it. Get out and vote. Thank you.
Okay. Mark?
Thank you. First, you don't need to hear me tell you to go vote. Second, Guys and Dolls, for those of you who had the opportunity to see it, you left feeling enriched and fulfilled that our students did a marvelous job. For those of you who hadn't had the opportunity, I'm sure there's going to be a schedule announcement. It's on the school channel, and for whatever the show will be next year, take a night, go see what our students are doing. On to one other topic, a note of appreciation to all of our parents who made informed decisions as to whether their children will opt out or take the ELA tests, as well as the math assessments. Just remember, you are your children's best advocate. And I thank you for becoming informed and making those decisions based upon what is best for you and your children. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And lastly?
I will say go out and vote on May 17th. It's very important. It's critical for us to keep the school district running the way it's run now. The feedback from the public has been, for the most part, good. are great, and we want the guys and dolls plays to go on next year. We want our sports teams on the fields next year. We want our academic levels in the school to stay the same. And if the budget doesn't pass, a lot of that will change. It'll be a fact that things will have to change here. So please, it's very important to take that time and come out and vote on May 17th. You have the whole day. I mean, sometimes we get lines, but it's worth every minute of your time to make the district run solid through next year. And I'd like to close wishing everybody a happy Passover for next week, and thank you for coming to the meeting.
Okay. And I'm just
my closing. That's not
No, because we have opportunity for visitors.
Yes.
But I do want to just follow up. If you are not going to be here for voting, you can get an absentee ballot. And there's information about absentee ballots on our website, and you can pick them up at the administration office.
You can download the application online.
You can download the application online and then bring it or mail it to the administration office. So if you're not going to be here, you can still vote. Okay.
And by what date do you need that application?
You could walk in with it and get it right away, but if I'm mail you a ballot, I would need 7 days.
So you would need it by May 10th.
Yes.
So.
If your eligible children will still be away at college, please encourage them to go on the website, fill it out, and mail it in. Every vote is very important to keep the district solid.
Yes. Okay. And with that, on that note, opportunity for visitors. If anybody has any questions or comments, please come to the microphone, state your name and address.
I'll make sure I follow the rules tonight. Russell D. Francisca, 25 Varick Court. Mr. Bortles, I have a couple of concerns, and I understand that you have a plan for Watson. I got a text from Peter Jabasi regarding the samples that you sent him. They were incomplete. As per the wording, it was incomplete because they didn't sample for metals and semi-volatile organics. So are you going out there now next week to Rototill where we don't have all the information of what's in the soil is a concern? He is going to send somebody out there and go through what you provided him and make sure that apples to apples.
Okay, there's a regular soil analysis.
Okay, but
when it's
I was
done,
going to say, we had a soil analysis done
Yes.
when it was requested, and
Yes.
the soil analysis came up.
No, it says it was
Fine.
incomplete because they didn't sample for metals and semi-volatile organics.
Well,
So,
well,
and you can
sample
go through
for a lot of
Google.
different things.
Okay.
and
We
what
just want to
had
make
done
sure
was a
that
standard one.
the soil is good.
We had a standard sample. We have soil samples taken all the time.
Yeah.
We've had issues with some of our fields or questions about some of our
Right.
fields. We do a standard sample,
Right.
and nothing. It was all
Right,
clean.
nothing abnormal, nothing
Nothing
out of the
abnormal.
ordinary
Sorry.
came up.
Okay.
That brings me to that brings me,
Right.
Once again, it was the same dirt that was there,
I get it.
went back.
And the samples
But
that were
when
We
you
didn't
start,
bring- it's not like we brought
but you
dirt
know,
from
when you start mixing in
Pennsylvania or
construction
somewhere else.
debris,
No.
that changes it.
I understand.
But wait, we took samples from both sides of the field that was not touched and the field that was reconstructed, and the soil samples came back the same in both cases.
I am not an environmental engineer. I'm an electrical engineer, so I can be an expertise on that portion, but I'm just reading what he wrote.
I understand.
Okay? With that being said, the soil that you're going to be putting in, you're going to be going from a state-approved lot that will give you a breakdown of what's in it. Is there a way that we can be notified of that and where the contractor will be getting that stockpile from? And we can do our own research. I know it may seem far-fetched to you, but if it's a bad lot and it's not a state-approved lot, then why would we want to put something that wasn't organic and met the state standard in place?
Well, that's the plan, is to get that.
I get it, but is there a way that you can facilitate, however you want to facilitate it, that, look, this is the lot, we're going wherever, Riverhead or wherever the contractor deems that he's getting his soil from, and that should be knowledge that all of us should be able to be privy to. I don't think I'm asking for anything out of the ordinary.
I don't know if we're...
Well, you can search it and just let us know.
Publicly, that would be public information.
Right.
If it exists on any document, it'd be very
Correct.
happy to share with you. So,
That's all I ask.
fine.
You say you're taking and I'm sorry, I only have one more question after this.
No.
You're taking the asphalt out of the curbside to the sidewalk side along Lakeview. Asphalt's oil-based. It went through a season of snow and rain. What's the plan to put in there once the asphalt is removed?
Well, we're really looking for little pieces of asphalt. It's not a whole.
So you're not taking it all out, you're just taking out sections of it? I didn't understand what you're planning on doing with it.
That walkway was removed, but not to its fullest extent, or it was turned over. Parts of it were turned over.
There are
to the soil.
concerns that are still pieces of asphalt there, which is why we're rototilling the whole thing to see if we can find anything else that's
Okay, well,
remaining.
maybe I'm mixing the two things up. The asphalt that's on by the curb to the sidewalk,
That they'll remove.
they're going to remove
It's
that.
that big.
It's a pretty long section.
No.
No. Not coming off of Lakeview.
On Lakeview,
Right.
there's an 18-inch strip that goes from the curb to the sidewalk, the length of the sidewalk.
No, they're not touching that.
No.
That's staying. Out on the street side, on the curb side? No, this is inside the field we're renovating.
So you're not doing anything with that? You're leaving that asphalt out there?
Yes.
Outside.
Outside the fence line?
The fence line,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
There was no intention of removing that and planting something?
No.
Okay. Not necessarily happy with that. The middle school, the repointing. You say that the contractors are using vacuums. I was there for my son's lacrosse game, and 60 kids were running across the field while they were grinding the grout. And there was concrete dust that came over the entire field when 60 fourth graders are playing lacrosse. So, the vacuum that they're claiming that they're using was nowhere to be seen because I was standing next to the equipment.
When was this?
This was last week. That's crazy.
I agree.
You agree?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
so,
We've had that complaint.
well, I'm sure you'll get more complaints, but what are you doing about that? I mean, I know that they're working after hours to meet their needs, their obligation. I get it. You can't work during school hours, you work on the weekends. I understand all that. But at 5 o'clock to 6:30, grinding concrete, dust falling over the field where I could not believe what I was witnessing. There were no electric vacuums there. There were no gas-powered vacuums there. There was a guy on a JLG lift grinding away. There was no supervision. That's intolerable.
Well, you'll be following up on it tomorrow.
Follow up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Because it was our understanding that
Yes.
that there would be a
We
vacuum.
had that complaint,
Yeah.
and we were told that they were going to have the vacuums
So
there.
we'll follow up on that tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll also check on Riverside also. We have the same work
Right,
doing
because,
on
yeah.
Riverside.
Yeah.
That hasn't started yet, though.
But it was just, I mean, I know that,
No, they have to have a vacuum. There are kids on, there
Well,
are
there
kids-
wasn't, so
there are-
I'm not going to beat it to
no,
death. You
no.
know, I made it aware.
Yes, I'm saying they have to, because there are too many students out there. So we will be following up on it tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Hi, good evening. Nancy Bednar, 21 Osborne. The plan to remediate the field, did the contractor come up with that plan, or was there input from the district? I'm sorry, I keep looking at you, Mr. Bartels.
Combination of contractor, construction manager, and the district.
Was there any discussion of possibly using materials such as what we discussed the last time, maybe a hydroseed or a sod? Was there any discussion about that to possibly get the fields up to speed sooner? Was there any discussion with the contractor about that?
There was discussion, but felt in order to get the field appropriately established, we needed 2 full growing seasons, whether we put down sod, seed, hydroseed, whatever you put down. To have it completely established properly, we really need 2 growing seasons, which is what we did not allow it for the first time around. So we felt like going with the seed and just leaving people off was the appropriate. way to go because it would knit better into the soil.
With the 2 growing seasons, will the contractor then, if we go 2 growing seasons and now the field is still not looking so good, will the contractor guarantee
Yes.
that work?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. Moving on, Dr. Johnson, we have items for action. We can do this by acclamation.
Yes, but you need to include, no, I think
Right.
one of them requires, no, the budget vote.
Yeah, we did
The
that
national
already.
budget, pardon me? Is that a roll call vote?
National budget?
No.
No, it's not? Okay. Then
Okay.
you can do it by acclamation,
So-
and we have on the personnel, you have an addendum.
We have it right. So I need a motion to approve items A through G plus an addendum to the PAR plus the addendum.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to return to executive session to discuss personnel, contractual, and litigation matters.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. We'll be back here on May 4th to do our budget hearing and talk about our voting. And
Jackie will be waiting for you on May
yes,
17th.
on May 17th is going to be voting. Keep saying it.